Hello, everyone. I'm Cheldin Rumor, and this is it. Welcome back to This Is It TV. Oh, our friend is back, and I'd love for him to introduce himself, his first and last name, and what he is up to.
Cheldin, of course, I'm Bezich. I'm a men's health advocate, contributing writer to phillyvoice.com, and of course, the author of Crack the Code, 10 Proven Secrets That Motivate Healthy Behavior and Inspire Fulfillment in Men Over 50.
Okay, all right. Well, we are always happy to have you and so excited to dive into today's topic. Life is a little complicated, is it not?
Yes, it is. It can become very complicated, as we all know. I think it's a subject that we can all relate to in one way or another. And, you know, that feeling of being overwhelmed is just, it's not good. It's not good for us. It doesn't make us comfortable. And as I'll talk about in a second, it can slow down our sort of cognitive processes and make decision making difficult for us.
Really?
But really what prompted me to think about this is my own personal experience this week. It's been a really busy week at work.
Yeah.
Holiday coming up, plans with my adult sons and wife and my grandson. All this is going on, and then I got slammed in the middle of the week. God bless her, my 90-year-old mom, who lives by herself, generally in great health for a 90-year-old, had a small fall, nothing horrific, but enough to get her into the hospital and some rehab for a few days, a little slight fracture on the hip. And so now that throws some turbulence into my world. And of course, makes me realize, wow, like what can happen at any given time, how we can get slammed, and what we should be doing about it.
Wow. Wow. Well, I hope that your mom is on her road to recovery. I mean, 90 and thriving. I think that is a wonderful thing. Oh, absolute wonderful thing. But there's a world of unexpected, needless to say, what we expect on a daily basis, right? Our lives are complicated with the expected. You know, for me, my daughter is 9, my son is 3. So we have him doing some small things during the week, and then she's getting ready for virtual, plus, you know, meeting later in the month. So it's all of the, plus I work, my husband, same thing. So it's all of those things that are part of standard, needless to say, all of the other things that come along with it. So what type of advice do you provide on the complexity of life?
Well, the way we fight complexity is with what? Simplicity. We try to simplify our world and make the decisions and make day-to-day life as simple and as manageable as possible. That's what the experts will tell us. Right. That's both in our personal lives and frankly in the business world as well. So it's very interesting because we want to fight those negative effects of a complicated world. Again, that decision making, forgetfulness, and all that comes with it. Right. So there's really 4 things that I want to offer your listeners and viewers today in terms of how do you kind of simplify your world. Right. Well, number 1 is you do, as you just mentioned, you sort of plan ahead. You make that checklist. You try to keep on top of everything you do, have that inventory. Now, that doesn't mean you'll get to everything, but it's good to start with that so we just know what's the scope of what's most important recently. Number 2 is prioritize, right? What's most important? Like, we love to check off the list, and it's easy to kind of do the things that are, maybe less difficult just to make us feel good, but you want to prioritize, because if you recognize you're not always going to get to everything, right, in your complicated world, make sure you know kind of what's most important. And number 3 is don't hesitate to delegate, right? Bring in some help, an expert. If you're an expert or just somebody who can give you a helping hand. We all have our little networks. And I always, in the book, I talk about how we need to build our own sort of like a health system, or an insurance company has all these, like a network of providers. Well, you need your own little personal network of go-to people. You know, whether it's childcare, whether it's a handy person for around the house, whatever the case might be. And then the last thing is really, and it's kind of real important to me, is that find your moment. I think I call it moment of peace or mindfulness, right? Have your time when you just can kind of clear your head and think about things. In my case, it's when I run every morning. It's a chance for me to clear my head, think about what's on tap, I should say, for the day ahead, and really sort of just peacefully process everything. And I find that combined with the checklist and the prioritization and the delegation is really a winning combination to deal with the complexities that we all face.
Oh, I love this. I love this. One, the simplicity of all the advice in which you're providing, because I do think we are by nature, overwhelmed to begin with. And the thought of even getting organized is overwhelming, right? The thought of prioritizing is, but I think that the advice is breaking it down in such a way and saying, okay, if you just take a moment, you know, what that moment does for you. You mentioned running. I work out equally in the morning, and it just gets me settled. I have that time of peace. I wake up before anybody else in my house, and just kind of give myself that opportunity after I've worked out, after I've gotten the curls on, and I have my cup of coffee, and I allow for myself to organize my day. I didn't always do that, right? I was always in this state of, especially before pandemic, I was running, you know, and not really taking the necessary time to organize myself. Is this something that, you know, happens over time, or is it a cold turkey type of scenario? But I'm assuming it's something that evolves.
Well, I think most importantly, it's got to be a conscious effort.
Yeah.
Right? It's got to be a conscious effort because like anything in life, unless you know, make it a priority and do it, it'll happen. And over time, you perfect it, right? And you get better and better at it. And that's what I think is really most important.
Yeah. The other piece that I absolutely love, and I believe it, I call it my huddle of people, but I love the support system piece of it because, again, you know, you're so overwhelmed, you think you're the only one there, kind of releasing, you know, the duties and responsibilities that are piling up on you for people that are actually more skilled in those things, you know, to be able to help you. Do you call upon colleagues, family, or is it an array of different types of folks?
It's all across the board. It's a real estate agent who's doing some work for me right now, and I needed it, to be honest with you, this week, I needed a washer to be moved.
Yeah.
And I like, who's going to move this washer? I don't have the time to do it. Well, you know, I reached out to somebody and she had somebody for me, and it's going to all work out.
Yeah.
So it's across the board. It's family, it's friends, it's business colleagues. It's like a little resource bank that you want to put together because, again, as part of that planning ahead, you know, it's always good to have a handyman, let me tell you.
It's always good.
I'm not camera and nail kind of guy. I'm more of a like pick up the phone and get it done kind of guy.
Seriously, but I think it's also like real proper self-reflection, right? On what are you capable of doing? What can other people help you out with? What is not a good use of your time because you are in fact not good at it, right? Because it's going to take you longer if you do it yourself, more time and more money. Let's call and pick up the phone. And I think that you can find that. I found that clarity in that time of peace that you talked about, right? Exactly. I was able to really open the Rolodex because I afforded myself some time to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, there's no harm and there's no downside to admitting that, look, I do some things really good and other things I don't do. So let's bring in the help when it's needed.
This was so good and so needed for me, as I tend to get overwhelmed from time to time throughout a week. Always chatting with you, it always gives me not only a sense of clarity, but some really useful tips on a better way to live my life. If people want to get in touch with you, my friend, if people want to follow, fan, and like you, where would they find that information?
You can find everything you need at 50plusmen.com.
Oh, I love it. Okay, perfect. Well, we encourage all of you to follow, fan, and like our friend. Until the next time he's on the show, make sure you reach out to him, get your hands on that book, and learn more about how to live a better life. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Cheldin. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. From all of us here at This Is It TV, I'm Cheldin Barlett-Rumer, and we will see you soon. Take care.